Hey you guys, Cameron with Car Audio now again. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Sony's latest XAV-AX8100. This is about a 9-inch diagonal screen here. It's an oversized touchscreen head unit. So today I'm going to be demoing some of the features, walk through some of the new features, the differences between the AX8000 and of course this unit. Walk through some of the media features, the sound features, the settings, give you a good understanding of how this unit functions and some of the cool features that it has here. So let's dive right into it. Let's start out with turning the head unit on. And what I'm going to do here is give you guys a sense of how long it takes for this thing to fire up. I've had a couple comments and questions in previous videos. How long do these head units take to actually fire up once they have power? So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to connect it to power right now, and we're going to see how long it takes to fire up once the Sony screen comes up. So you see the Sony screen, you see the warning, and then boom, you're already there. It ended up going to the last source that I had, but less than 5 seconds essentially is what you have from the Sony logo all the way through to the home screen. And now when you start your car up, you throw it into reverse, and under that amount of time, it'll automatically default to the rear view camera, and it's actually even faster than that. So these are really quick. They fire up faster than most units on the market that I've seen. There's really no concern that I would personally have about how long it takes for these units to fire up, and Sony has made it a point of shortening that amount of time. They've advertised it in previous units, the startup time, and it's really quick. You could see that. Now let's go through the features on the screen here, and what you see on the bottom is basically 2 pages. That's what the dots signify. The highlighted one is where we're at. You have radio on the left, typical radio, XM radio, right? If you have this hooked up, I don't have this hooked up right now, but it comes capable of working with a Sirius XM radio. You just have to have the adapter. Bluetooth, you can see this is highlighted because it's actually hooked up to my phone right now. HDMI, this is a cool new feature that we're going to get into really shortly, but essentially you can hook your phone into this head unit via HDMI. Rear camera, pretty straightforward. You click on this, you can see the rear camera if you ever have it wired to constant power. Then let's scroll to the next page, right? USB, you can hook up USB and play video through USB if you want. I'll go through that too. Phone, and then you have your settings. So obviously if you have Bluetooth, this is enabled, and settings, we'll get into the settings shortly. On the top right hand side, you'll see these two icons in particular I want to talk about. Obviously on the top here, above that, you see all of your phone configuration and settings if you are hooked into Bluetooth. So you can see, my signal and the battery, and that it's hooked up to Bluetooth, etc. This little eye, basically right now, since I don't have it hooked into CarPlay, is just telling me that it's capable of having CarPlay and Android Auto and WebLink ready. I'll get into that when I connect my phone here shortly. This is for media if you have a USB plugged in right now. We'll get into that in a few moments. Okay, so let's start to demo some of the key features of the head unit here. I'm going to just go ahead and start on the left hand side and start working my way to the right here. Starting with the radio, you click on the radio. Pretty standard here. You've got your FM and AM bands. FM, you have 3 different essentially pages of presets that you can set for a total of 18 presets. For those of you who heavily use FM radio, you've got plenty of places to set your presets. I don't know if you'll ever go through all those. Typical features here, you've got your seek and essentially your stations here, right? Nothing too crazy to call out here. Sirius XM, this head unit is enabled for Sirius XM. You have to have an adapter essentially for the Sirius XM module to make it compatible with the head unit. It does come capable working with Sirius XM, but again, you have to buy that adapter. I don't have that for this demo, but what that'll do is enable all the features of Sirius XM within the head unit. That includes like all the selected stations, you know, browsing through your stations, presets, all those sort of things that come along with Sirius XM. You'll have that enabled in here once you buy that adapter, along with obviously if you have a subscription. Bluetooth. So Bluetooth is pretty straightforward on this head unit as well. So essentially what you're going to see, you have your phone, wireless calls, and streaming music. Those are the biggest things that come along with Bluetooth. What you're seeing on the screen right now is just your typical music playing. This is actually playing from Spotify. So whatever you play from your phone, whether it's Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, you know, SoundCloud, it's all going to come through the head unit through Bluetooth. Right now, we happen to be using Spotify for this. And you have your basic selections, right? You have your previous and next, pause. You can switch artists. I think this is more for when you're using your iTunes, where you have different artists, different categories of music, not necessarily for things like Spotify, like we're using it, but you have those options if you need them. Up at the top, you have basically shuffle and then repeat, and you can select all or one, just kind of the typical shuffle all features. Moving on, so let's get into HDMI here. So HDMI is a brand new feature that Sony is bringing to their 2021 head units. This is really cool, and this is the biggest differentiator I'm going to call out between the XAV-AX8000 that we did a review of last year and this 8100. This is really cool, and when we did the review of last year's head unit, one of the pitfalls that I felt like it had was the lack of, you know, multimedia functions, right? What HDMI really does is it opens this head unit up to all sorts of multimedia options, all sorts of inputs. Whatever you want to put in this thing in terms of video and audio, you can do that through an HDMI, and it's actually located, if you see my finger, the plug is right behind this volume knob here, or volume button, and you basically will plug it in, and then on the other side you plug in whatever device you want. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to hook up my phone and demo a couple of apps, some of the key apps that I know you're questioning will, you know, on the top of your mind would work on an HDMI input on this head unit. So let me get it hooked up here real quick. I've got my HDMI hooked up to my iPhone here, and what I did was I used Apple's the Lightning to HDMI adapter. I used the Apple specific one. I didn't buy a knockoff one. You know, I've read up a couple of reviews of you know, quality of images, so I just went ahead and got the Apple one. I'm sure that there's fine knockoff ones on Amazon for cheaper. This one in particular was in the 40s. About $42 or something like that. You can probably get one for $12 on Amazon. But anyhow, so that's what I'm using here. I've got it hooked up to my iPhone. I'm going to start out with YouTube. So now you can see this is highlighted here with an HDMI input, and that's because I'm hooked in. So let's go ahead and click in here. What you're going to see is what's on my screen here, right? So this is kind of like WebLink, what you would see on WebLink. Screen share, whatever, you know, whatever you have it. So right now I'm on YouTube, and obviously you can see what's on the screen. Now, here's what happens when you take a look at a video and then turn the screen into, you know, to the side here. You're gonna see all of the entire video in front of you as you would, you know, on your phone. So this is super powerful, obviously. So you have audio and video, anything on YouTube. Now I'm gonna get out of this app here in a moment, and I'm gonna switch over to Netflix next. And here we are in Netflix. So you can see on the screen, I'm on the home screen of Netflix. You can see it on the head unit screen. I'm gonna go ahead on my phone. You have to do all the motion and all the interaction on your phone. I'm gonna go ahead and play this Life in Color, the first one that I can see here. And there you go. plays flawlessly. The image quality is fantastic. It might show a little different on the phone, just on the camera picture, capturing a picture. I might not have the highest quality here, but I can tell you that the image quality is fantastic here. It might not be 4K, but it's perfect for your vehicle. So the last one I'm going to do, I'm going to get out of this, and I'm going to show you AT&T TV Now, which is also pretty cool. And here we are in AT&T TV Now. So I have AT&T. This is my primary source of TV. I have it in my house. I also have the app on my phone, so it's really cool. Whenever I have internet, I can pull it open on my phone. What I've really been trying to find in a head unit is a way to extend that to obviously the screen on the dash, so that on long car drives, the passengers in my car can watch either a movie or whatever that might be. Obviously, you're gonna have to check your state laws. In some states, this is probably illegal to watch video on your dash. That's why they don't readily have this available, in a lot of these units now. But you can see this is one. Obviously this is one channel. I'm going to change the channel here. You can see now what's on your screen is what I see on my app. It flips through every time you change channels, but you can see here I am in my app. It's the normal interface. Whatever I select ends up on the screen. Super powerful. What you can also do here is plug in your game device, your DVD player, whatever else you want to plug in that has an HDMI output. You plug it into the input and you have a multimedia center here. The only thing that this doesn't have, though, is if you wanted to extend this video to headrest monitors or an overhead flip down screen, this doesn't have video outputs that will allow you to do that. So it's secluded into this one head unit, which for a lot of people that might be fine. For those that are trying to make a full multimedia system in their vehicle, this might not be the head unit for you. But nonetheless, HDMI, super powerful feature here. Let's go back to the home screen and move on to the next feature. But before I do, it's worth noting that all of the multimedia and video functionality that I just walked through, Netflix, YouTube, all of the above, in order to access that functionality, your vehicle actually has to be in park, and that's if this head unit is wired professionally and properly. There is a workaround to this. It's pretty common. Installers have been doing it for years. You essentially ground out the parking brake sensor that comes off of this unit in order to trick the unit into thinking that it's into park. That will enable all of these features while you're driving. But essentially, you're either in park or you have this workaround in terms of wiring in order to access this functionality. Without it, you're going to basically see the screen that's in front of you right now as soon as you take and remove the parking brake of your vehicle. I just want to note that before we move on. Now we're back on the home screen here. Went through HDMI, rear view camera. This is pretty straightforward. I don't have this hooked up. If you click on this and you have your rear view camera wired to a constant power, essentially, it will appear here, and it will have guidelines whenever you're reversing, the typical rear view camera. Nothing too crazy to note here. There's one input for a camera. It's not front and rear like some of the Alpine units. It's a single rear view camera input. The next thing I want to go through here is up at the top right, and I'm connecting a USB right now that has just a sample music video, whatever it is that I put on there. The other alternative to HDMI to watching video or multimedia is to upload something into a USB or a hard drive that will connect via USB. And once you do that, you can click into this media section here. Let me go back here and make sure this is hooked in. Let me go to USB, actually. There we go. So you're going to go into the USB section, and then you're going to have access to the video, all the video content that's on that player. It's video, it's imagery, it's music, anything that you have on your USB, you're going to have ready access to it. And it automatically started to play the video on the screen here. But if you go into the settings on the left, you're going to see the video test. That's actually the file that's on this this USB drive. So I'm in this folder, or this sorry, not the file. I'm in this directory or folder in the hard drive right now. That's what we were playing, Get Up, that music video. But if I go back here, now we're in the higher directory. So you can browse through all the folders is what this is. I only have one folder called video test. Within that, then I have that one video just to show you guys a test, and obviously you can see you can play video pretty easily, and it's very simple and straightforward, anything you download to it. So it's pretty cool too. Now I'm back to the home screen on the second page here. Now if I click on this icon here, after I clicked into USB for the first time, you'll see it goes back into that multimedia. That's what I was trying to do the first time. I guess you have to go into the USB via that icon the first time in order to get that to work or to pull properly. Let's go back. So now I want to show you what the difference looks like when we start, or once we plug in Apple CarPlay. Now, I only have Apple CarPlay because I only have an Apple device, but it also works with Android Auto. So what I'm going to do, and if you're looking at the screen, look up towards the top right. So this is what happens when you plug in an iPhone. Wait for it. There it is. So now you see Apple CarPlay on the right hand side of the screen, and this will be Android Auto if you have an Android. But this head unit is fully capable with and compatible with CarPlay and Android Auto, which is basically a necessity at this point. All of these new head units have it, and it's expanding pretty rapidly in terms of compatibility for apps. It's still very light, in my opinion, in terms of the functionality of all of the apps. You can obviously see we just had a baby, so these are all of our nursery rhymes and stuff that we watch for the baby. But let's go into the functionality. This is actually within Spotify, so you can see we have your home, browse, library, some of the basic functionality. Select a song, it plays. This has, in my opinion, a better quality of sound than if you're connected to Bluetooth. So if you're looking for quality music, this is, no matter what you do, normally a hardwired, music or signal is going to be a little bit better in a lot of cases than your Bluetooth or Wi-Fi signals. So pretty cool. I won't get too much into Apple CarPlay. You can look up a lot of information on that all over the place. This demo isn't necessarily a demo of CarPlay and Android Auto. So it has it. It's great. Nothing wrong with it. Let's move on here. The last thing that I really want to go through, just to give you guys a good look, is in the settings. Get some of the general, the general look at some of the settings that this thing has and is capable of doing. In the general tab, there's not too much to note here. You have your, actually I'm going to scroll back up. Language, demo, that's all that is demo mode, right? Some of your basic stuff, your clock, beep. If you've been hearing the beep this whole time, you shut that off. Now you can't hear it. I'll keep that off for right now. Driving position, this is if you're in, the UK or Japan or something like that. And then if they do update the firmware on these pretty frequently. So if there is a bug on this, or like features, they actually introduce new features too. So if you if you follow what they're introducing, last year they originally didn't have web link in some of these head units. Now you can actually go in, download the firmware on an older XAV-AX8000, for example, or I think it was a 5000 that I did a review of that didn't have it at the time. Now it does, and you can download it, upload it to the unit using a USB drive, and then now you have some new functionality. So it's kind of cool that way. They're always bringing their stuff up to speed. Let's go back. Sound. I would tell you, the sound on this head unit. This head unit is more dedicated to folks that are looking for multimedia functionality, thus the HDMI. And what I would say is it has some cool sound features, adjustability. It doesn't get into the level of detail that like an audio enthusiast might want if they're building out a, you know, an amplified system, you know, and these are things that, you know, I'm talking about like a channel by channel, high pass, low pass, like crossover control, right? So just in general, this head unit is really, its strength is multimedia. That being said, it does have some cool sound features. You know, you can adjust your extra bass. All that does is a bass booster, but you have a 10 band equalizer, which is great, right? At this point, you need something like this, and you can cycle through presets, right? You can see, or you can go in eventually and select a custom, and you can make your own here. And customize it. You can even start with one, right? And then, you know, you can kind of get a sense of what you like here and then go bring it into the custom and sort of mimic that and make some tweaks if you want. Subwoofer, if you have a subwoofer, you can turn it on and off and adjust the levels here. That's all that is. Balance and fader, this is pretty straightforward. You know, you can set and adjust your balance and your fade, you know, depending on how and where your speakers are and how much power you want and how much volume you want out of them. So now you see crossover here. I was talking about this a little earlier. You click on this. This does have some high level crossover functionality. You have high pass, low pass, right? This is essentially, you know, this is tuning. It's very high level. It applies to basically both the front and the rear channels is what it looks like. You know, you don't have like channel control is what I guess I'm trying to say. Like you just have front and rear, and you're going to be able to set high pass filter or low pass filter, right? And then you have a subwoofer output that's separate, which is why, you know, I think they separate these like this. In some head units that are like specifically designed for high performance systems, you're going to see this section broken out into 3 or 4 other tabs. That's not what this head unit's about. This is straight and simple. This is great for the novice and in my opinion, 90% of the people that use these head units. It's very straightforward, and it'll get you exactly what you're looking for. DSO. So what DSO does, if your speakers are down at your feet, those speakers are pushing volume to your feet. What Sony has designed is a system that mimics or it will dynamically change the sound, and it'll actually alter it to make it sound higher, if that makes sense. That's what DSO does. So when you say, you know, you go low, middle, high, basically high, the higher you go here, the higher the sound is going to sound. And I know it sounds weird, but it works. We did it in a Honda Accord with the AX8000, and the sound, from an elevation standpoint, it sounds like it's coming from higher, which is pretty cool, and that's what that's all about. Volume settings, this is kind of cool too. So you see, you can adjust how high the volume is for each of these different features. So if somebody calls and you get sick of hearing your ringer blaring when you're listening to music and it startles you, turn it down, right? You know, and the ringtone and voice recognition, if you click the voice button here, right, what does that sound like? How strong or how loud is it? Navigational guidance, pretty straightforward. Turn it up or turn it down. Kind of cool that they broke everything out. Let's see, guidance during call. So this is basically turning off or on the navigation guidance while you're on a phone call. So you can turn that on or off. That's all the sound features. Last one I'll go through here, and the biggest one probably that you're interested in, I know it took a little while to get here, is wallpaper. Wallpaper can be changed on this if you have a USB drive and connect it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to connect the USB drive while we're talking here, I'm going to click on Wallpaper. You can see I already added this. I'm going to go through this again. You have all your standard 4 or 5 wallpapers that you can switch between, or you can add one. So, and that's what I did. So if you, right now you can see it's there's one spot. You can only import one at a time, is what this is basically telling you. So I click on here. Right now, I can either select this particular image that I already imported, or I can import a photo, and that'll be a plus sign if you've never done this before. Now what this does, once I clicked import video, now it went straight to my drive, my USB drive, and this is actually the image that I uploaded. So any image that you add to your USB drive is going to appear here. You're going to click it, it's going to go through the uploading process, and then you're going to be able to select it, and then it's going to apply to the head unit. And we'll give it a quick second. There it is. Pretty cool. So let's go back and take a look at what it looks like. So there you have it. That's the XAV-AX8100, Sony's latest oversized touchscreen head unit in 2021. I hope I covered all the features that you wanted to see, whether they're in depth or not. You know, from the buttons to HDMI. If you like this video, please subscribe to us. We're always trying to pump out new reviews as we get products here, and want to keep them coming to you. So thanks again for watching.